Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. I'm your host Clayton at Clates AFC on Twitter. We're back in the Champions League knockout rounds. It's the first time we're there in 7 years and I cannot fucking wait. Obviously, the Arsenal are riding such a high at the minute. We're on such a roll in 2024 since we started this calendar year. We've just been unbelievable, especially the last two games, obviously battering West Ham and Burnley. We've beat Palace 5-0 in there, thumped Liverpool at home. Everything just feels like it's coming together at the right time. And yeah, my mate took the piss out of me for something I said after Burnley on Saturday. I think it was more the way I said it when I was talking about, like, everyone talks about City and how it gets to February and they just click and they go on this run. And I was just basically saying, like, look, we're in February ourselves and we're on fire at the minute. And we've got players coming back as well. And with that in mind, Partey and Vieira were pictured in training. So that's huge news. Whether they'll be in the matchday squad for tomorrow, I'm not sure. I have jumped the gun a bit on doing this. So to timestamp this, it's the 20th of February, 3 p.m., give or take. And the match is obviously tomorrow on the 21st of February. So it's a whole 24 hours away. And Arteta's press conference is actually scheduled for this evening. So I have gone before the presser, but it's just like personal commitments and stuff. I'll be unable to get a pod out. Yeah, it just made sense to go now. Like I said, Partey and Vieira have been pictured in training, and I think that's fucking huge, even if they're not in the match day squad tomorrow. Just looking at this as a tie where we just manage it over two legs, and even holistically thinking of it as two legs, break it down and like manage it in quarters sort of thing. And I think that's what I actually think we'll see a couple of changes to the lineup, which I'll get into in a sec. But just so proud and excited, like, to watch us in the big time again. And I think it's more the context of what it could be. Like, I remember years ago when we were in the Champions League knockout stages, it just felt like a token gesture that we were there, and we were there to fill out the numbers. I never thought we'd actually go on and have a chance at getting to semi-finals and finals. And I'm talking like the latter stages of our period in the competition, not when we obviously got to the semi-final and the final. But it just feels different now. And I know, like, people will try and gaslight us into potentially if we don't get to the final or the semis. But I think you can't control the outcome or the route. But I think that we're the bookies' for favourite for a reason, right? And that just blows my fucking mind. Like, think back to when Arteta took over. I remember saying this to friends, family, and even on Twitter. Like, for me, the objective was, can he just get us as a consistent top six team again? Because I know with hindsight that sounds mad, but I think so many people forget where we were when he took over, and like, we were awful. We had so much shit in the squad, and to be heading into the knockouts of the Champions League and genuinely thinking, I think we can be confidently trying to get to the semi-finals as a minimum. It just blows my mind. But yeah, we've got Porto first, and I don't think it's actually going to be easy. And like I said, I think for me, this is a case of, I actually quite like that the first game is away from home. So I think it's a case of go out there, manage the game. I think we will win the game, and I'll touch on that in score predictions, but I don't think it'll be quite like the 5-0, 6-0 we've seen recently. And to touch on that, just a shout out to Blue Danube Joe. He actually says Porto last 6 league games at home, they've won 5, drawn 1, lost 0. They've had 13 goals for, and they've only conceded 1 against. To add to that even more, they're actually unbeaten in 10 home games in general, in all comps. So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it's funny how narratives work, because that's a stat we're bringing up. And the flip side is, if we're watching Porto FC's YouTube fan channels, I think they'll be shitting it about what we are. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'll do a nice, short, snappy preview. I think when I do these solo ones, I always like to try keep them 15, 20 minutes, nice and light. And with that in mind, let's do the usual format. So predicted lineups for tomorrow afternoon. I think there will be changes. I think there'll be a couple of changes. I know we've settled on the starting 11 that started the last 2 games, but with Porto away on Wednesday and then Newcastle turnaround Saturday evening, I know we have a 9-day break after that, but I just think tomorrow night for me, is going to be quite an intense game. And what I've seen of the Champions League so far, and especially the knockouts, they're a lot more chaotic. I think we have become accustomed to watching this Arsenal team suffocate the life out of teams and dominate and have like measured control on games to the point where it can become a little bit boring in periods. And I don't mean like Burnley and West Ham were obviously not boring, but it was just a case like there was no surprise. There was no element of, oh, they're going to break and get us because we had them. The Champions League for me looks different in the sense that I think teams are more brave and I think they come out to play you. There's obviously the kind of potential emotional side of things when you're in those hostile atmospheres. And I know they're cliches and narratives, but they're cliches and narratives that I actually buy into. How much it impacts on the outcome, I'm not so convinced, but I think it genuinely has a part to play in like the emotions that come out in the game, and that adds to the kind of end-to-end feel that I see a little bit more of in the Champions League. But I'll touch on that a little bit more when I do my score prediction. But in terms of the predicted 11 for me, so obviously the lineup that started the last two games against Burnley and West Ham was Raya in goal, the back four of Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Kivior. I just realized that I've got the wrong graphic on the screen, but it doesn't matter. It's the same 11. I just used the graphic from the wrong match. Midfield three was Declan Rice, Odegaard, and Havertz, and the front three was Saka, Trossard, and Martinelli. And where I think there'll be changes is interesting. So I think when I talk about the emotions in the Champions League, and I think as much as I think we're the better team, and I do think we'll go there and win there, I still think it's a game that for me screams out to have a Jorginho in there. And when there are moments where the fans get loud and the players are like, I think this Arsenal team is different in the sense like I don't think the boat will rock as much under stress. But if there's periods where that happens, I think that's where it's really nice when you have a Jorginho-esque player in there. Yeah, and that's why I can see him coming into the 11. I want to see what the team was when we played Lons away. Severe away, I've got it up in front of me. It was Raya in goal. Back four was White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu. Midfield three was Jorginho, Odegaard, Rice. Front three was Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. Lons away, where are you? Here, 2-1 loss away from home. That was Raya in goal. Back four was Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. Midfield three was Odegaard, Rice, Havertz, and the front three was Saka, Jesus, Trossard. That's interesting, that one. I can't remember if Martinelli was injured in that period or not. Yeah, he was. But with that in mind, because I'm going off on tangents, I'll just go with what I actually feel. So initially, I thought he would make one change. And this is working on the assumption that Jesus is not available. And it must be said that, again, timestamping this is currently 3 p.m. UK time, the day before the game. Jesus, Tomiyasu, and Zinchenko still supposedly haven't trained. So I would put good money on they won't be in the squad for tomorrow. I was working on the assumption it would be one change. Jorginho in for Trossard. And I thought it would be same back four, midfield of Rice and Jorginho as more of a double pivot, Odegaard playing in like the hybrid 8-10 like we saw against Liverpool, and Havertz up top. Just because I think that then gives you the kind of focal point, should you need it as an outlet, but also the ability to drop into those double tens like Havertz and Odegaard did against Liverpool. And then you've got the control element of Jorginho. Why I've changed my mind is I was looking back at the substitutions against Burnley on Saturday, and Trossard actually went off with 20 minutes to go just after his goal to make it 4-0. Martinelli stayed on for the full 90 minutes. And as much as I think there will be more space in this game because it's a European tie and the opposition will try and come at us, and also our tactical tweaks and what we've seen recently is creating more space, I do wonder if it will be Martinelli that misses out and Trossard will go on the left and Havertz up top and just keep Martinelli for that Newcastle game. Ironically, when you think of the game as a kind of what tactically are you expecting from the opposition? I'd say it's the Newcastle game where I don't see too much space in for a Martinelli, because I think they'll really park the bus. Was even talking about potentially seeing them set up with a back five. But I just have that in my mind. Trossard came off with 20 minutes to go against Burnley. He's on fire at the minute. Him and Havertz are linking up nicely. Martinelli stayed on. So I'm really torn. I think the fact that Zinchenko and Tomiyasu haven't trained supposedly today makes me think the back four will be the same. I think if Tomiyasu was back, there may be potential to mix things around there, but I think you'll go with the same back five. So it's just the midfield. I think Saka picks himself, Odegaard picks himself, Rice picks himself. But for me, it's that trifecta of, is it going to be Martinelli, Trossard, Havertz? Who's that going to be? So sticking what's the saying? Is it pinning your colours to the mast? I'm going to go for my predicted 11, Porto away, David Raya in goal, back four of White, Saliba, Gabriel Kivior, midfield of Rice, Odegaard and Jorginho. And I'm going for a front three of Saka, Havertz and Trossard. I think Martinelli will be a sub on this, and I think it will be a case of, with Trossard left, Jorginho central midfield, Havertz up top. I think it's a case of going for that control. And as much because Trossard, as we saw against Liverpool, he can be a transition player when he picked it up on the halfway line and ran with it. I think we've put him in this box of him being against only deep blocks when he doesn't need to be. And I'm going for that because I think it then gives Arsenal a level of technical control in moments of stress in this game, which I think, as fantastic as we are, there will be elements where we get rocked a little bit. And having your Jorginho, your Trossards, where the ball goes into him and it sticks, having Havertz up top as a get out of jail, like punt it if you need it. He can hold it up, bring others into play. And then, like I said already a few minutes ago, in certain aspects of the game, have him and Odegaard drop in as double tens. Havertz and Trossard, even though they were rotating from the left 8 and false 9 zones, it doesn't need to change where the Trossard's on the left. The areas they occupy and are able to interchange in is still fluid. It's still like the left and central area of the pitch. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel Kivior, Rice, Odegaard, Jorginho, Saka, Havertz, Trossard for me. That's the 11 I'm going with. On Porto, obviously it'd be good to kind of touch on them a little bit. I'll be honest, I haven't paid too much attention to how they're doing, but Blue Danube Joe obviously said their last 6 league games at home, they've won 5, they've drawn 1, 13 goals scored, 1 goal against. I went on to add to that, in all competitions, they're unbeaten at home in 10. In the domestic league, they are 3rd, and they're 7 points behind both Sporting Lisbon and Benfica at the minute. And then just looking at their overall team, their kind of standout performer has been Galeno. I know of him actually because I played the Champions League fantasy game, and he's been good value in that. He scored 4 goals in the Champions League so far. If I look at their actual predicted 11, according to FOTMob, it's Costa, Mario, Pepe, Otavio, Sanchez, Pepe, Varela, Gonzalez, Galeno, Taremi, and Ivan Nilsson. Yeah, but I wanted to have a look because on FOTMob, they've actually got this really cool graphic where it shows you the stats from the whole season. So this is interesting. They don't have Chico Conceição in their predicted 11, and I don't know if he's injured or what, but he's got 3 goals, 3 assists. Their top goal scorer is Ivan Nilsson with 9 goals, 2 assists. So, and we know about Pepe, right? He's going to try and fucking break some legs tomorrow. So I think tomorrow is a case of get in there. I think in England, I say this a lot with away games, get in there, quiet the crowd, like slow the game down, kill the tempo. I don't think he can actually do that in the Champions League. I think he can kill the tempo of a game. I don't think he can kill the momentum of a crowd, though. But I think for me tomorrow, it's a case of go there, really play our football, like suck the life out of the tempo of that football match and try to forget the crowd and just play the game on the pitch and ping it about. Like our positional rotation, the last 2 games in particular, has been absolutely phenomenal. Just execute that fast passing, really smart movement, intricacy, like have them people like Pepe who are so old fucking having a seizure. Like, what is going on? And I do think tomorrow will be difficult, but I back us to have enough to, like I said at the start, manage this tie over the course of 2 legs, but break it down even further and like manage it in 4 halves in a sense. Like manage the first half, just control the tempo. If it's 0-0, it's fine. Just manage the tempo of that game, get our foot on the ball and ping it about, get comfortable with the football. Second half, go and try and get the winner. Bring it back to the Emirates with a lead and we're laughing. Like, I know that could come back to bite me, but that's how confident I feel. If we bring this tie back to the Emirates and we're winning, even drawing, I feel incredibly comfortable. But obviously, you don't want to take that risk because in a drawing game state, you never know. Like teams, as we've seen, they park the bus, they can try hit us on the counter. No matter how good we are at counter pressing, you never know. Every team has the potential to be vulnerable in moments. So for me, this is a game of manage this first half, get the ball under control, really dominate the possession, make them feel uncomfortable, go and get the winner, obviously. But second half, really try and go and kind of take the game to them and win it. And bring it back to the Emirates for a comfortable second leg. That's the way I see it going. So my score prediction is I actually think we're going to go there and keep a clean sheet again. I think Europe are going to be surprised by Arsenal. I really do. I think I have so much faith in this team's ability. And I think if we can cut out the individual errors, which we've seen have been cut out the last few games, but we were seeing them earlier in the season. If we can cut out individual errors, I think our system translates to Europe as well. I don't think we'll give up many key chances. In the last 5 games, I think it's an XG conceded of 1.67 in the league. I can see that translating to Europe because I think, ironically, we sometimes play better teams than a Porto in the Premier League anyway. It's just, can we manage that emotion for me? And I really back us to do it. So I'm going there. I'm not going there. I had a ticket and I wish I was going there, but I'm going for a 2-0 away win. I think we're going to surprise a few. I think we're going to go there, control the ball really well, win this game. I don't think it'll be comfortable. I think it'll be a case of like cagey 0-0 for a while and then bang, 2 goals in the space of 5 to 10 minutes. But I'm going 2-0 to the Arsenal. So yeah, for everyone that is out there, like, I am so incredibly jealous. Like, seeing a lot of the footage on Twitter today, people flying out there in the sun, having beers, giving Rio Ferdinand banter on a Ryanair flight. What the fuck is he doing on a Ryanair flight, by the way? But yeah, to everyone that's out there, have an amazing, amazing time. I did my first Champions League away game before Christmas, PSV away, and that was a dead rubber tie, and I had like the time of my life. I remember going to Sporting Lisbon away in the Europa League last season with a couple of my mates and absolutely loved that, and that was the Europa League. So I can't imagine what it will be like in an actual knockout round in the Champions League, like especially with this Arsenal team that is this good. So yeah, safe travels to anyone that's listening to this and not got there yet, but be safe, everyone out there. And to everyone else like me watching at home, let's fucking do this. Let's go and make a statement in Europe, because I think, with, like I said earlier, with the 4 favorites for a reason, we're fucking good. So let's go and announce it. And to everyone watching this, thanks so much for your ever-present support. Like, the channel's growing really nicely, and I think we're building a real nice community. So thanks as always for the love. Please hit the stream, give the stream a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back on either Wednesday night after the game or Thursday, the day after the game, to do a solo review of the game where hopefully we're 1-0 up on the tie. First leg's won, and we're bringing it back to the Emirates to hopefully cruise through to the quarterfinals. But let's not take it for granted. Up the Arsenal.